Shabbat shalom, everybody. It was
Shabbat
good
shalom.
it was good to hear. Can I see you, Miriam? It'd be nice to see faces instead of a bunch of black
On and off because of my
off and on.
itching and coughing.
Oh no. Oh well. All right. Well, it was good to listen to the rabbi's message again. You know, it always reminds me of how important it is for young people to follow the wisdom of their parents and in choosing a mate. Sometimes we choose the wrong people. And let me tell you, I know I did. And I'm still suffering for it. I've been divorced 50 years. And I still have to deal with some of the issues because I didn't listen to my own father. And our parents know better. They know us as kids. And even though when we're 18, we think we know everything, we really know nothing. And one of the things that are the most important characteristics that we need to look for in the other person are their moral principles and values, because that's what shines through on a daily basis in our lives when we have to make decisions, daily decisions on right and wrong. And, you know, the world is so upside down now. I to tell you the truth, I don't know what Rabbi's message would have been in light of everything happening in the world today. I don't know how different it would have been. But relationships are extremely important because no matter what's going on, we still have to live in our own homes. We have to still deal with the relationships with the people that with whom we're living. And hopefully, you know, the wives will understand that feminism is very destructive for mankind. Honestly, my mother was a feminist. And I think that it was very difficult in her marriage. She didn't respect my father. He was not the protector. He was not the provider in our home. It was my mother who was. And that's very hard on a woman. When she becomes, you see that certain relationships when women are earning more money than the men, it becomes a point of contention in the home because it's a natural desire that goes deep within the man to be the provider. And there's nothing wrong with women. I'm not saying women can't earn the same thing as a man. This is not what I'm saying. And that's not what the rabbi is saying, because he said we're all equal, but their roles are different. And no matter how much a man tries to be like a woman, he could never be that same nurturer. It's just impossible. It's not within them. There are some nurturing men, there's no doubt about it, but there are always exceptions. But in general, the woman is the backbone of the home. The woman is the one who builds the home, but it's the man who must be the spiritual head, the spiritual covering. And it's extremely, extremely important. And I think that has been turned upside down now. I liked what Rabbi said about he spoke about the physical genes and the spiritual genes that we inherit, that we're not, we don't come from the physical genes of, I don't know who would be. There are no physical genes for the Jews. We're not a race of people. But there's a spiritual gene that begins with, right from the beginning, with every man in the scriptures, with every person in the scriptures who heard from God and was willing to follow them. And that's how we can differentiate between who is wholehearted for God and who isn't. So any comments about today's message in your own personal lives?
I agree. It's great, all these things, and they are the basic, to me, blueprint for how we to live our relationships, etc. It's just sad when you know, you have parents, for example, that don't have a good marriage. So, you know, it's hard when you say listen to your parents, if your parents themselves have a bad marriage, it's hard. But I know the principles of
No,
what
that
you're
doesn't
saying.
make for them not being able to see who would be good for you or not. All they have to do is be honest. And
No, I know, but I'm just saying they
just
don't.
because a person has a bad marriage doesn't know that they don't know the components of what would make a good marriage.
No, of course, no. That's why I preface this with saying I agree in the principles of what you're saying, but like in everything, sometimes when you have to learn from even a person's mistakes, and we have to, when Rabbi said about marrying, it's more important to find the insides, the right principles, and it's beyond just my parents, for example, bless them, I love them very dearly, but they necessarily they didn't have at that point, they didn't have the idea of the Torah as their backing. God had to introduce that to me, Baruch Hashem, in my life. So if I were to get married at my age at this point, I would know to choose the right. To me, it's more important that you choose that God is your moral backbone. I mean, I know the principles of what you're saying, and I agree with that. But it's to me, the bottom line is the spiritual and moral principles of the person you end up being with.
I think people are also afraid to ask tough questions before they get married, because it isn't about the feelings, because feelings are going to come and go. But there are tough questions that they have to ask. Are there common interests? Are there common goals? Do you see life in the same way? That's what I like in many ways about the Orthodox Jews, because they do that. There are some, obviously, that there are very bad marriages there too, but they ask some very practical questions, because let me tell you, when you live in a relationship on a day-to-day basis, there are very practical things that people are going to have to deal with every single day of their lives. So these are questions that they have to learn how to ask before. That's why I think premarital counseling is so important. And that's what Rabbi would do. I've heard a lot of his stories, of things. There were people who were refused to marry because he just did not believe that he could bless that marriage. He was afraid that, what he saw was that it was going to be a relationship that was something that he couldn't honestly go before God and say, I bless this union. And so it was difficult. Mauricio, I know you were mentioning something. I don't know if you want to bring it up with your own mother and father this week too, and that is difficult.
Yeah, it's true. For example, my parents right now, they are facing some problems because of the difference of age. Okay, my dad is 92 and my mom is 68. So they are facing different kind of problems because, well, when they were young, obviously my father was 45, probably 42, 43, and then they got married. Then he was very stronger than today. Now they are facing that he has a lot of problems, for example, to capabilities to move from one place to another, and my mother is with another kind of energy. So she wants to get out, for example, and my dad wants to stay at home, for example. Now my dad wants to go to the hospital just to go to doctors, okay, and my mom wants to go to the shopping mall. So there are different interest in things like that. Obviously they don't want to divorce now at this age. Is incredible, but they are facing problems. So I believe that for example, we can see that in the very same problem, for example, with Isaac and Rivka. Okay, they have the very same problems. Rivka was a kid almost, okay, not 3 years old, obviously, but she was younger probably than 15 when she left Haran. and then goes to a man of 40 years who had the mentality of a young man. So they have problems after with communication, for example, when they raise up Esau and Jacob, okay? Because, for example, remember that Rivka received some announce from a prophet telling that there are two nations inside of you fighting one each other, etc., etc. They never, communicate one each other. But for example, the prophecy, and then she healed Jacob, deceiving to his father, and Rivka knew that, but that's the kind of problems that people can face. And the problem is in when obviously you are young, there's no problem, but after comes the problems. Okay, so that is very important. But for me, what of the important things that Rabbi used to say is about the mashals and about the parables is a mishlei, and the problem is that when you take from just one verse, okay, an idea that that becomes a truth, and then this and not only come true, but you want to take this as something fundamental theologically, then comes the crash, okay? Because you twist the word of God. You have to analyze the whole concept, that what they are talking about, and do not take out from the context the text. So in doing that, I believe that today there's so much problems in different religions because of this.
Exactly.
Okay. For example, God will destroy my enemies. Yeah, but your enemy, for example, is not really a person necessarily. That your enemy is first is yourself, your bad habits. Okay, that's your enemies. God will destroy, for example, those bad habits in you. Another thing, probably one enemy is my character. Okay, my mentality to take decisions. Okay, the problems that people have. For example, there are some, I don't know how to say that in English, compulsiones, what is
compulsions?
Compulsions, yeah. So, for example, to money, to text, to see the cell phone, to drink, I don't know, all these kind of
addictions
that people can present. Those are your enemies.
Right.
And even, for example, if we can see, it's hard to say that, but it's true. Palestinians are not really the enemy of Israel. Okay, who are the enemy of Israel? The Sinat Hinam. That's the enemy. Okay,
that's right.
So, because I can see, for example, that in the world, not only Palestinians are protesting against Israel, they are not supporting just the enemies of the state of Israel, like terrorism, like Hamas, for example. The problem is that there are so many people that they just hate Israel because it's Israel. That's a problem. And so because I believe that God loves the persons. He doesn't want to destroy people, really. Okay. And for example, I am a father, and I don't want to see my kids suffering or be destroyed. Okay. I want they can change their actions. I want they can change the behavior, the mentality. Okay.
Right.
That is the goal at the
Right.
end. So, but again, people decide something bad today because they can see, and they can see because, oh, it's true this because the Bible says this and that, and you know, and the saddest part is they take the Bible to justify their actions.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So, so for me, that is one of the point central thing that Rabbi said, hey, please do not take this, or for example, the stories of the Midrash, because I have seen how people believes more in the Midrashim and not in the Word of God. So,
Right.
for example, Rivka had 3 years. Oh, really? How
Right.
can? Okay.
Tell me something. What is the Gemara?
Yeah, the Gemara is really, for me, is a commentaries, a commentaries of
Of the
different
Torah.
scholars of the Torah.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So, in the Midrash, the Talmud, the Baba Tatra, whatever you want to,
Right.
any text, okay, are commentaries.
Right.
Okay.
And the reason I'm asking is because for me, I mean, I get excited when I see that many people now in Israel, they're getting all excited and they want to wear the tzitzit, and the Orthodox Jews are now sending Gemaras to all the soldiers, to all the people. It's like a way of that, instead of sending the Torah, it would
Yeah,
have been much a
because,
better idea to send the Torah.
but this is because there are some groups, okay, in Israel and in the whole world that they want to study the Gemara, okay, and it's not really bad, okay, because in the text you can see, for example, they refer to the Torah or to the different prophets or whatever you want to see in the
Okay.
text, the Bible.
Right.
But for me, it would be better to send Torahs, for example. Yeah,
Right.
it's true, but it's okay. But it's a group. There are some Hasidim that they, for example, meet. I can remember if it is Habal, for example. They go to the Giants Stadium every year, more than 50,000 people, and they start to read one text. Okay, and the text is very huge, but it's okay. It's a kind of to understand better the Torah, but that's okay. So,
But it's interesting because I had a Bible all my life. I had it in school when I read it in school. There was always a Bible somewhere that you could get a hold of and read, but I could never read it and understand it. There's something about having the Spirit of God touch you, something that, like with Abraham needed to hear from God first. Moses was given a role by God. If we don't, I mean, it doesn't matter what we send to people. I can send them articles, I can send them all kinds of things, but unless we're touched by the Spirit of God, something has to be moved within us.
But at least what's good is that there's the impulse, like an impulse towards God, whether it's the Gemara or not. To me, that's a good. People want to turn away from the values that they've been adhering to.
Right.
So it's a good thing, I think.
I think it's good too. Yeah. But more and more, I think we'll see, like I said before, these miracles, that God is going to show us, but it doesn't mean miracles will make us believe in God. We'll just want more miracles.
Yes. Well, but I just wanted to say one thing that Rabbi said, like I agree with everything he said, but maybe it's just the words, only because we never know who's listening to us, hopefully lots of people. But for women to understand that when the Rabbi said we're under men, I know what he means, but in English, you have to be clear. Under doesn't mean in submission, because there are some religions, as you know, which
No,
one,
no, it doesn't mean subjection.
I meant subjection. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't mean subjection,
Yeah.
and it doesn't mean that one is superior to the other, because there are religions that put women in submission and subjection, whatever. So just to make it clear, it's a matter of role. You're not in
A matter of role, but also,
huh?
but also we are still living under the curse of
That's true.
that was
That's
given
true.
to, because the women are the highest of God's creation. We have been given something extra than the men, but because we disobeyed God and we pulled man into, then we were put under, really, we are now basically, sometimes I have to subject. When I worked for some men who were absolute, it was nuts, the things I had to be subjected to. But if I wanted to work, I just had to,
No, but don't forget the curse goes both ways. All I'm saying is, for clarity, I know that's not what the rabbi meant, because there are religions. Look in different countries what's happening. So just to make it clear, because the men are to protect the woman.
Yes, but he said all that.
Yeah, no, just understand when you say.
You remember, guys, when Rabbi was saying that, we're talking about subjection. I don't know who is under who about subjection, because when the woman does this to the men, like this.
That's what he always said. The woman's finger is very strong.
You're thinking the women say, come here. I don't know who is subjected to, but it is true that it's about roles.
Yeah.
It's not about. Let's not confuse about the capabilities. The women, as we know, that was created like the last of creation, much more superior. That has to take not only men. Only we take care about ourselves. Me, I myself, that's it. The women has to take care of your house, of your children, everything, and that is you have to be really, really prepared and equipped for that. And God did that to women.
Yeah.
So that is beautiful, because without it, I don't know how humanity could, continue, for so many generations, if it wasn't for the our beautiful wives, women, that they work really hard. And they love us so much. But coming back what the rabbi was saying at the beginning of all, about there is so many interpretations and so many midrash and that they talk about this portion, and if you see that he says that it's all about illustrations, but the illustrations versus truth, right? Which is very important to see that no matter what interpretation of a rabbi or from another rabbi and from the scriptures, these are all illustrations. These are all human interpretations, okay, of an expression, okay, that is based on a very limited view that depends on the level of consciousness of that particular human, that person who interprets and sees it. Now, what I'm saying is that truth, when are based of principles, wisdom, and knowledge of the Creator and Spirit. So the only way to answer, like Rabbi said, that also that we lost, with all these interpretations as illustrations that religious people adore and love so much, to the point that they touch my heart, or I do things like this way and in a religious way, but they completely miss the point, the teaching about that, the essence, the spirit, the principle of that. And that is very important, that we need to put aside the pride and say, okay, we are wrong. We are misled by our own thinking. We are making things, and the worst part, we are teaching other people to think like our thinking. We are not allowing even the questioning or the allowing the free expression of interpreting. I mean of expansion of these teachings, to understand and to grow. Like to give an example, first, like you don't become a good farmer, at the beginning. You have to start, tricks and more things that you do, the more you realize this doesn't work, this is not good for me. You have to continue learning other things, and the more they become good. But with all these illustrations that they don't lead us to anywhere, just to keep us all blind about the truth, then is when we have to go back within, and we have to go to, when it says search me, O God, when we have that verse of that psalm, it's about looking within us, inside, which the spirit of the Creator dwells, which will give us and will lead us to truth. This is how Yeshua was talking all the time. He was talking about the power of the one who is, who knows spirit, who knows the Creator, who knows, truth. And it will teach always with simple and very simple examples, with parables. Right. For the people, they were simple people. There were not studies on they knew all the scrolls or no, they were just simple people in order to learn.
Exactly. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for your time, for your input. And so I wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom. Have a good week. Have a blessed week. Be safe. And let's keep praying for each other, praying for our community. And where we can help, let's help. Let's be a light in this world. Bye, Baruch. Bye, Miriam.
Bye, Chaboto.
Bye, Mauricio, Isabel,
Ciao.
Rhonda.
Bye.
Bye. Ciao, ciao, ciao.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.